Good afternoon, students. Let us continue the morning class. So we completed hepatitis C. So now we'll start with hepatitis D. Already we started hepatitis D, but due to this problem we stopped, right? So hepatitis D has a worldwide distribution. It is an endemic in the parts of the Mediterranean basin, Africa and South America. The transmission is mainly by close personal contact, occasionally by vertical transmission, occurring from the mothers who also carry hepatitis B infection. In the non-endemic areas, the transmission is mainly a consequence of the parietal drug misuse. So, the pathophysiology. Usually, the hepatitis B clinically presents as a co-infection with acute hepatitis B or hepatitis D as a superinfection, which may progress to the chronic infection and the cirrhosis or as latent infection. The clinical presentation. In the patient with a co-infection, the course is transient and self-limited. The rate of progression to the chronic it is similar to the one reported for the acute hepatitis B. In the superinfection, the hepatitis B carriers may present with severe acute hepatitis exacerbation with frequent progression to the chronic hepatitis B. D. So the diagnosis is for the hepatitis D infection is hepatitis D RNA or the hepatitis D virus antigen in the serum or the liver. The detection of the antibodies to the hepatitis D virus antigen in the settings of acute or chronic hepatitis B virus infections. So the diagnosis, detection of the antibodies to the antigen, ultrasound diagnosis, the liver function test altered means non-liver enzymes, determination of the virus RNA, MRI, PCR, and the complete blood count for the just infection reactions and the biochemical blood tests. So the hepatitis B surface antigen, if it is positive, then we'll go for hepatitis B DNA. If it is negative, treat according to the hepatitis B guidelines. So now in detail, we are not going to discuss about the hepatitis B as it is already discussed in the previous class. If anti-hepatitis D IgG antibodies are positive, then hepatitis D RNA we are going to do. If it is positive, then we'll consider the treatment for hepatitis D. If it is negative, then repeat the hepatitis D RNA after 3 months. So, if the patient is hepatitis B positive, surface antigen positive. So, what are the two tests we will do? First, we will do the hepatitis B DNA. If it is negative, we'll treat according to the hepatitis B guidelines. For anti-hepatitis D IgG antibodies are tested. If it is positive, then we'll go for hepatitis D RNA test. If it is negative, then we will repeat the same test after 3 to 6 months. And we'll also do hepatitis D virus IgM and test. So if it is positive, then we'll consider the interferon alpha treatment for at least 4 weeks. If the hepatitis B DNA virus is more than 2000 international units per milliliter, then we'll consider the combination therapies. So no hepatitis surface antigen decline or no hepatitis D RNA decline after 48 weeks, then we'll stop the therapy. Same. We'll stop the therapy. If there is a decline in the hepatitis B surface antigen after 48 weeks, we'll continue the interferon therapy, interferon alpha therapy until hepatitis surface antigen loss is present. So the treatment is interferon alpha is a treatment of choice. Then the next cause of the chronic hepatitis is autoimmune hepatitis. Chronic hepatitis of unknown etiology can progress to the cirrhosis. Characteristics includes the presence of the autoimmune antibodies, evidence of hepatitis interface being characteristic, elevation of the serum globulins, continuing and unresolving hepatocellular inflammation. So, the presence of the autoantibodies, presence of evidences of hepatitis, and the elevation of the serum globulin levels, and the continuing and unresolving hepatocellular inflammation and necrosis. These are the characteristic features of the autoimmune hepatitis. So these are the other names of autoimmune hepatitis, like active chronic hepatitis or chronic active hepatitis. Chronic progressive, sorry, chronic aggressive hepatitis, leukoid hepatitis, plasma cell hepatitis, autoimmune chronic active hepatitis. So the diagnosis of hepatitis requires the exclusion of all other causes of chronic liver diseases that have similar features, including the Wilson's disease, chronic viral hepatitis, drug-induced liver diseases, non-alcoholic fatty liver, and the remaining immune causes like primary biliary cirrhosis and primary sclerosing cholangitis. So it is first described, the autoimmune hepatitis is first described in 1950s. It accounts for around 5.6% of the liver transplantations in US. It affects more commonly females than in males, and ratio 3 is to 1. If untreated, approximately 40% die within 6 months and 40% develop cirrhosis. So frequency of autoimmune hepatitis among the patients with the chronic liver diseases in North American like countries, like it is around 11% to 22% continents. So the greatest prevalence is among Northern European white people, and the Japanese have low frequency. This is the pathogenesis, the evidence supporting the autoimmune pathogenesis. So histological lesions composed of cytotoxic T cells and the plasma cells, circulating autoantibodies, hypergalloglobulinemia, and other autoimmune disorders like thyroiditis, rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune hemolytic anemia, ulcerative colitis, membranoproliferative glomerulonephritis, diabetes mellitus, celiac diseases, and Sjogren's disease syndrome. So the response to the steroids and immune suppression is seen. The exact pathogenesis is not known. The predisposition to the autoimmunity is inherited, whereas the liver specificity of this injury is triggered by the environmental factors like chemicals, drugs like minocycline or viral. The genetic predisposition is also present like HLA-B1, B8, DR3 and DR4. The cell-mediated immune attack is directed against the liver cells. CD4 T lymphocytes are capable of becoming sensitized to the hepatic membrane protein and of destroying the liver cells. The humoral immunity plays a role in extrahepatic manifestations of like arthritis, vasculitis, glomerulonephritis by the immune complex deposition and the complement activation. So this is the pathogenesis. Now we will discuss, these are the clinical features. So symptoms like fatigueness, jaundice, upper abdominal discomfort, pruritus, anorexia, myalgia, diarrhea, Cushingoid features, fever. These all are seen. Occurrence of fatigueness is most common, later followed by jaundice and the remaining features. So physical signs, the hepatomegaly is seen in around 78% of the patients, jaundice in 69%, but angiometa in 58%, and splenomegaly in more than 32%, ascites in 20%, and anascophilopathy in 14%. These are the physical signs that are present in the autoimmune hepatitis. Then these are the lab features. The elevated AST, it occurs around in 10%. Then gabaglobulinemia in around 10% again. Increased immunoglobulin G levels in 92%. Hyperbilirubinemia. ALP ratios more than 2. Immunoserological markers. And these are the antibodies. So the associated conditions with autoimmune hepatitis are Hashimoto's thyroiditis and other thyroid abnormalities like myxedema and thyrotoxicosis. And the other endocrine changes like Cushingoid appearance, acne, hysterism is also seen. The pulmonary changes like pleurisy and transitory pulmonary infiltrates and the collapse is also seen. Acute, recurrent and non-deforming polyarthritis of the large joint are also seen. Mild anemia, leukopenia, thrombocytopenia can also occur in the So this is the diagnostic algorithm for the autoimmune hepatitis. The elevated AST and the gamma globulin levels. AST was is to alkaline phosphatase levels more than 3. Then we'll test for AMA, negative ceruloplasmin, if it's normal, and the normal alpha antitrypsin phenotype, and normal or near normal levels of serum iron levels. If the surface antigen of the hepatitis B is negative, and anti-HCV, IgG, IgM, anti-H hepatitis virus A, all these are negative, then we will go for the liver biopsy. Even in the liver biopsy, we are able to see the interface hepatitis plus lobular hepatitis, then we will suspect it as a autoimmune hepatitis. The definitive autoimmune hepatitis is if the GABA globulin levels is more than or equal to 1.5 that of normal, ANA, SMA, and anti-LKM1 is more than or equal to 1:80, I mean anti-liver kidney microsomal antibodies. No exposure to the drugs or the blood products, and alcohol intake less than 25 grams per day. Then that's the definitive. Then we'll divide into whether type 1 or type 2. Then the probable, if the GABA globulin levels are less than 1.5 of the normal, and ANA, SMA, or anti-LKM1 less than or equal to 1:40, the previous drug or the blood products, alcohol use, and other liver-related autoantibodies. In the type 1, ANA and SMA are positive. In the type 2, anti-liver kidney microsomal antibodies are positive. So this is the simplified scoring system for the diagnosis. So the autoantibodies, as I said, ANA or SMA, 1:40 it is +1. If it is more than 1:80 it is around +2. And anti-KM1, then if it is more than 1:40 +2. Anti-SLA mean positive, it is +2. The immunoglobulin G levels more than the upper limit of normal +1, more than 1.5 times of the upper limit, that is +2. Histology compatibility with autoimmune hepatitis, and typical of autoimmune hepatitis, it is +2. The viral disease, no viral markers, then it is +2. The definitive diagnosis, then it is more than, the score is more than or equal to 7. And the probable diagnosis, it is around less than 6. I mean, less than 7, 6. Classification. There are two types of autoimmune hepatitis based upon the serological markers. A proposed third type has been abandoned and considered as a more severe form of type 1 autoimmune hepatitis. Anti-SLA is found in both type 1 AHI and type 2 AHI and is an indicator of severe disease and poor outcome. So anti-SLA autoantibodies are found in both type 1 and type 2 and is an indicator of the severe disease and the poor outcome. So this is an important point. Then type 1 autoimmune hepatitis, classically in the young females, so ANA or anti-SMA positive. The titer is usually more than 1:100. 10% will have the antibodies to the, as I said, soluble liver antigens. The other antibodies are also seen in this. Anti-actin antibodies have greater specificity. So these are the other antibodies like anti-DNA and anti-mitochondrial, cytoskeletal antibodies, nuclear envelope protein lamin A and C, the plasma membrane sulfatides. So then, usually the type 1 autoimmune hepatitis has bimodal age distribution. Ages, it is around 10 to 20 years and again 45 to 70 years. The female predominance is seen. HLA DR3 or DR4 association associated with other extrahepatic manifestations like autoimmune thyroiditis, Graves' disease, chronic ulcerative colitis, and less commonly with rheumatoid arthritis, systemic sclerosis, ITP, SLE, hemolytic anemia, and remain. The 40% presents with the acute onset of symptoms similar to that of toxic hepatitis or acute viral hepatitis. So the 40% present with the acute onset of symptoms. So the type 2 seen in children in around 2 to 14 years of age, HLA DRB1 and DQB1 association, the presence of anti-liver kidney microsome antibodies directed against the cytochrome P452D6. So again, anti-liver cytosol antibodies are also seen. So it can be associated with other autoimmune diseases like autoimmune thyroiditis, vitiligo, type 1 diabetes can be present. So type 3, as it is now considered as a severe form of type 1, antibodies to the soluble liver antigen, the liver pancreas antigen, lack of ANA and anti-LKM1 antibodies, more common in females. It's a part of spectrum of type 1. So these are the autoantibodies in autoimmune hepatitis. As I said, ANA, SMA, LK1. So ANA present mainly in type 1, SMA present in type 1, and LKM1 present in type 2 and chronic hepatitis C. So SLA is present in type 3, which is now considered as a severe form of type 1. LKM2 present in the drug-induced hepatitis. LKM3 present in the same type 3 and chronic hepatitis D. So in chronic hepatitis C, LKM1 is seen, whereas in LKM3 is seen in chronic hepatitis D. So these are the variant forms of autoimmune hepatitis, wherein autoimmune hepatitis along with primary biliary cirrhosis, primary sclerosing cholangitis, cholestatic features, and auto-antibody negative autoimmune hepatitis. So the autoantibodies negative autoimmune hepatitis, 30% of the chronic hepatitis of unknown causes satisfy the criteria for the autoimmune hepatitis, but lack the characteristics of the characteristic autoantibodies. So these are called as chronic cryptogenic hepatitis. Age, female predominance, frequency of the immunological diseases, histological features, and the lab findings are similar to that of the autoimmune hepatitis associated with HLA, B8, and DR3. Respond to the treatment with glucocorticoids. The histology, chronic hepatitis with marked piecemeal necrosis and lobular involvement, numerous plasma cells. Interface hepatitis, microinflammatory activity, evidence of the hepatocellular regeneration, and the bile duct injuries and the granulomas are uncommon. So these are the differential diagnosis. The primary biliary cirrhosis, post-necrotic cryptogenic cirrhosis, primary sclerosing cholangitis, acute viral hepatitis, chronic viral hepatitis, Wilson's disease, alcoholic hepatitis, non-alcoholic fatty liver. So these are the differential diagnoses. So the treatment of autoimmune hepatitis. So now we'll discuss about the treatment of the autoimmune hepatitis. So absolute indications are the serum AST or the ALT levels more than or equal to 10 times that of the upper limit of the normal, and then restless clinical progression, or if AST or ALT levels more than or equal to 5 times the upper limit of the normal with GABA globulins more than or equal to 2 times the 2 folds the upper limit of the normal, bridging or the multinodular necrosis on the histology. The relative indications are means no symptoms, serum AST levels is 3 to 9.9 folds the upper limit normal. Serum AST levels more than or equal to 5 times the folds of the upper limit of the normal, but the GABA globulin levels are less than 2 times of 2 folds of the upper limit of the normal. Interface hepatitis on the histology. This is the bridge or multinodular necrosis. This is the interface hepatitis on the histology. The treatment not indicated. Asymptomatic with a minimal laboratory changes. The serum AST levels less than 3 folds the upper limit normal. Burned out or inactive cirrhosis. The patients do not benefit from the therapy and have increased drug-induced side effects. In these conditions like portal hepatitis, decompensated cirrhosis with varicose bleeds, in this treatment is not indicated. Severe pre-treatment cytopenia or the known deficiency of thiopurine methyltransferase deficiency, brittle diabetes, vertebral compression, psychosis, osteoporosis, uncontrolled hypertension, where the steroids can be very harmful. So previous intolerance to the azathioprine or prednisone. So the treatment, the main stage of management is glucocorticoid therapy. Two treatment regimes are used and are equally effective, but it is the combination therapy which is most commonly preferred. The prednisone 60 mg per oral daily, which is tapered down to 30 at the 4th week, and then maintenance 20 mg daily till the end point. Only prednisone is used in the cases with cytopenia, malignancies, pregnancies. The therapy response expected is in up to 80% of the cases, the combination therapy. It is usually preferred over a span of 18 months. It reduces the serious life-threatening side effects of the steroids from around 66% to under 20%. Begins with the 30 mg per day of prednisone along with 50 mg per day of azathioprine. Azathioprine is maintained at 50 mg per day and the prednisone tapered so to the maintenance level of 10 mg per day. So this is the treatment. First initially the prednisone first week 30 mg, next 20 mg, then for 2 weeks 15 mg and 10 mg until the end point. Azathioprine 50 mg per day until the end point. In the single drug, the prednisone is given around 60, 40, 30 and 20 is maintained. So glucocorticoid side effects, cosmetic side effects like alopecia, dorsal hump, facial rounding, hirsutism, weight gain can occur in around 80% of the patient after 2 years of the treatments. Several side effects like cataract, diabetes mellitus, emotion instability, hypertension, osteopenia, vertebral compressions can occur. Rare side effects include the malignancy, opportunistic infections, and the pancreatitis. So the azathioprine related side effects are cytopenia occurring in around 46% of the patient associated with cirrhosis. The other side effects include arthralgias, fevers, nausea, vomiting, rash, and the bone marrow failure. So the patients undergoing the treatment with azathioprine should have blood leukocyte and platelets counts checked for every 6 months of interval. Azathioprine in pregnancy. The placenta is only a partial barrier to the metabolites of the azathioprine, and its use has been associated with congenital malformations in the newborn. Is not an essential, so azathioprine is not an essential medication in the treatment of the autoimmune hepatitis and can be discontinued during the pregnancy. So successfully in the pregnancies, the autoimmune hepatitis is managed by the prednisone. The treatment endpoints are the remission, treatment failure, incomplete response, and relapse and drug toxicity. So remission, the absence of symptoms, resolution of all the lab indices of the active inflammation, histological improvement, normal tissues or the inactive cirrhosis. Evaluation of the liver tissue before the drug withdrawal is essential to establish the remission because the histological activity may be present in 55% of the patients who satisfy the other requirements of the remission. If relapse occurs, indefinite low dose prednisolone or indefinite azathioprine can be given. If the remission is ensured, then the judge clinically, biochemically and by the liver biopsy, and the drug can be tapered off slowly over 2 months. Treatment failure is characterized by the worsening of the liver enzymes or the bilirubin levels by at least 67% of the previous values. The high dose therapy with the prednisone alone or the prednisone in conjugation constitutes a standard treatment in this group. It's an alternative management regimen includes the administration of the cyclosporin, mycophenolate, ursodeoxycholic acid, methotrexate, cyclophosphamide. If the liver decompensation occurs despite of the higher dose therapy, liver transplantation should be considered. So the incomplete response, clinical improvement that is insufficient to satisfy the remission criteria. So failure to achieve the remission within 3 years indicates the remission is unlikely, and so the discontinuation of the conventional treatment, the administration of the azathioprine as a sole or the low dose of the prednisone can be given. The drug toxicity in this justifies the premature withdrawal of the medications or the reduction in the dosage. The treatment can be continued with single tolerated dose in a drug in adjusted dose. So cyclosporin, 6-mercaptopurine, and the cyclophosphamide also have been used successfully. The take-home message is suspected autoimmune hepatitis can cause chronic or acute hepatitis, whether the other causes such as viral, hereditary, metabolic, cholestatic, drug-induced diseases has been excluded. And the immunosuppressive treatment should be instituted in the patients with serum AST or ALT levels greater than 10 times of the upper normal limit. At least 5 folds upper normal in conjugation with the serum carbagglobulins levels, at least 2 folds of the upper limit, or the histological features of bridging necrosis or multilobular necrosis. So autoimmune hepatitis must always be suspected because early treatment can reduce the mortality and progression to the cirrhosis successfully, significantly. Thank you.